By the way, we just ran a migration, so I want to tell you a little thing about migrations really quick before we make my user an admin so that he can access the admin interface. When you run migrations, they sit in your database migrate file. So all of the past migrations are here too. I can run a command rails db migrate status, and that actually shows us all of the migrations and whether they've been run or not. With migrations and Rails, there's two modes. There's up and there's down. If it says up, that means it's been run. If it says down, it means it's still waiting to be run. And down basically means it hasn't changed the database yet. It's sitting there, it's waiting for you to run it, and then it's going to change the database. But you may run into problems because let's say I just ran this migration, and so I added the admin boolean to my users. In migrations, they're written in a way like this, where there's one function, change, that says add column, and then you can actually reverse this if you wanted to. So I could do Rails db rollback, and this is actually going to undo the change that I just made. It's going to get rid of that boolean table from my users, that boolean column. So if I open up my schema, I see that it's gone. And Rails is smart enough with something like this to know how to undo that. Now if I do Rails db migrate status, I'll see that I have two migrations with an up status and one with a down status. So this is cool. This actually allows you to undo any changes that you make. And now I can, if I accidentally, like let's say I forgot to put the default of false on this and I ran it and I said, damn, I wanted to add that in. You can roll back and then you can change it and then you can migrate it again. The problem is, of course, if you have put some fields in here already, it'll actually it'll delete all of them. Like if this just drops that entire column. Doesn't matter if there's any data in it. So now I can do Rails db migrate again, and it brings it back in. So you might run into this problem, just giving you a heads up, where you ran a migration, and then you realize you actually didn't want to do it, and you accidentally delete the file. Like you delete this migration. That's bad. And it's bad because it's already been run. So just deleting the migration after the fact doesn't change the database. But because it's missing, you can't roll it back anymore because Rails doesn't know how to do that. So I just want to give you a heads up that that kind of thing happens. And it's unfortunate. And the way you could deal with it, I'll show you basically in this video. Like now I have my all migrations run. Let's say I accidentally deleted this file. Uh-oh. Well, now if I do Rails db migrate status, it's going to show me that I have one missing. And if I tried to do Rails db rollback, it's probably going to say can't roll it back because it doesn't have that file anymore. Yeah, or it's just going to say nothing, but it didn't actually remove the column. So what do I do now? Here's a quick just technique that I've learned. If you ever just need to reset your database to the beginning, and this is going to suck because it does delete the data in the database, but if you have migrations missing, there's a bunch of ways of dealing with it, but unfortunately this is probably the easiest one. Either just be really careful, don't delete migrations, ideally. This happens sometimes if you do Rails, like destroy a model or something like that after you've run it. You forget to roll it back before you destroy it. But if you ever just kind of need to start over, you can run this command. Rails db drop, that'll actually delete your database. Rails db create, that'll create a new one. And db migrate, and that'll run all the migrations you currently have. So if I run this now, it's going to basically delete and reset my database. OK. And then it ran both my migrations. Now if I do Rails db migrate status, I'll see that it's just 2 migrations, both of which have been run. They're both in there. I don't have my admin boolean, so I can now recreate that with Rails generate migration add admin to users. I forgot the capital T, to users, Boolean, nope, admin Boolean, creating my migration again. And I wanted to add default true. One of the reasons why this is necessary is because each migration has a special ID, which is created randomly here. And it's basically this number at the beginning of a file, which is just a random combination. It has like the current date and time. So every time you run a migration, you create one, it'll have a new number. One of the ways of dealing with missing migrations, by the way, is actually creating a new migration file with this number in the front of it and filling in, the stuff that you needed to. But this is probably the easiest. Now I can run RailsDB migrate and I have my admin user field again. But of course, remember, if you do this, all of your users are going to be missing. So now I actually would have to go in and sign up again. So create my user. Of course, he can't access the admin section because he's not an admin. Destroy admin user session path. Well, that should have been updated here. I might need to restart my server to see that change. That's something that should have been updated when I changed the initializer here, which was this. Okay, so here's my user, but they're not an admin, so this actually shouldn't be showing that user properly. Oh, yeah, I know what I did. Haha, I accidentally defaulted true. So now all of my users are admins. Here's a perfect example of doing a Rails DB rollback. Changing this to false. That was my mistake. And now Rails DB migrate. I just made all of my admins, all of my users admins by accident. And now it should be not authorized. So I just showed you a few complicated things for how you can deal with database problems. There should be in the lesson notes below. Just keep it in mind if you ever run into migration issues. And just be careful before you delete migrations to make sure you've rolled them back. Just a note of caution. Okay, next video, I'll show you how to turn your user into an admin.